Resolution is fine. So let's start. So today we're going to first look at some importing and linking tools in Revit. Okay, so I'm just going to open a new file. If you remember, this is our project manager where we see our previous projects or other families we've been working on. These are the latest files we've been using. This was the last week's file. I'm just going to create a new project. Then select the architectural template and open it. You're new as well? Okay, good. Alright. So, basically we're going to be looking at massing and site tools in today's class. But before I do that, I'm going to look at Insert here in this tab. If you remember, this is our ribbon where we have our control tools for drawing objects, geometries, any type of detailing and modification tools, also some sort of user interface tools under view. Let me take it down. I'm opening Rhino in the back because we're going to do I'm going to create some topography lines here. I mean, you might have it in DWG format as well, or any other program. You might also download an OBJ online. But I want to show you that you can also create a topography in another program and then import it in Rhino. And I'm going to do that in Rhino. But you can do it in AutoCAD as well. It's just easier here to model in 3D. Okay? But before I do that, let me show you some of the stuff. So, if you go to the Insert tab in Revit, here we have a bunch of options to link files into our Revit file. You could import CAD, you could link CAD, link Revit file. These are all certain options that you could basically do. For instance, let's try to download a topography file, plan, contours, images. So let's say I downloaded a file that I want to work with. I mean, these are all generic, basically. I just want to show you something pretty quick. I want to find a file that we could use. Let's say let me change the size a little bit. Let's see if I have a better option. So I'm going to just save this image. I'm going to say save as, and then I'm going to download it here to my desktop. It's just it's actually a JPEG file, has its name. Okay, so you could bring this thing in Revit if you want to trace it or use it for any other type of purpose. So for instance, you could do go to Insert Image here, and then you can go to Desktop. That's where our image is, and I'm going to select the mapping, open it, and I'm just going to drop it like that. Now, of course, this is something I found as a generic file online, but let's say this has a scale bar somewhere. Like, actually this has it here. This has a scale bar here. We could use it for scaling it up or down if you want to trace it accurately. So in this case, I'm assuming this is this might be in meters. Yeah, it says 250 meters. So 30 meters would be how many feet? Let's do a conversion. 100 feet? 100 feet, right? 30 feet equals 100 feet. 30 meters in feet. It will be 98 something, right? So let me copy that. So what I can do, after I select my image, this might be a bit big. but select it, go to scale here, and then when you're at scale, you could either do it numerical. As you see here, you can specify a scale value and then just click on the screen and it will just scale it up, or you could do it graphically as well. So if I do it graphical, I can select any point as my primary point, and then it's going to be an approximated scaling because it's an image, but I mean it's a bit low quality, but this is going to be, if you look at the dimension, it's 10 feet 5 inches. So I'm going to click there, and then it says new position, so I'm going to let me see, say numerical maybe. No, that's not true. Let me do it again. Scale, graphical. Yeah, just have to paste it here. That will be up to scale. So now this guy would actually match if I do annotation. Linear. Let me see. Is there a measure somewhere? Annotate, analyze. Yes. So if I do here, now this is somewhere 98 feet. So this is right now up to scale, right? So if I want to trace it, and I'll be honest, it's a big file right now because I'm assuming this is a building, right? And this was my initial drawing set. So if I trace this, that will be a large landscape model, but I can do that and it could be up to scale. Okay? Now, similar to that, we could also do we could also bring in some CAD model. So let's look up, I'm just going to generate a generic landscape model, and you're all welcome to do this with me, like in Rhino. Open a Rhino file. If you haven't used it, it's okay, it's really simple. You could just use the polyline tool and draw some curves, and then we will save it as DWG. Okay? And it will be good that you exercise this so that if your landscape is not generated, we could look at what was missing or what kind of contours were missing, and we can fix that as well. So I will do, let's first fix our units, because in Revit we're working on inches. So I'll go to Tools, Options, and under Units I'm going to change this from millimeters to inches. It could be inches or feet, it's up to you. Actually, let's make it feet, which will be a bit easier. Let's do feet, okay. Now since this is feet, let's say we have a landscape model that is going to be 200 feet by 200 feet. So I'll do 200 by 200. That's my rectangle box for the area of my landscape. And I'm just going to go to the control point curve here, and I'm going to put on some nice topography lines that are completely flat right now. And we're going to assume, we're not going to assume any type of height for these yet, but we could give them like 1 in every 6 feet or 5 feet. It could be anything. Okay? These are just contours. Let's do some other ones here. Maybe this kind of curls down here. Okay? Let's do like this maybe. It's going to interpolate towards there. And then I want to do a little bit more here. And let's say this is my landscape. Then I'm going to trim these. Again, you might have this file already given to you, or you might have to generate it. You could do this tracing in Revit, but I'm going to do it afterwards. I'm first going to show you import an existing file. So this is my topography file. Let's say this is my flat topography file. I can do file, export selected, and I'm going to call this DWG Topo 2D. Okay, and then save it. You can use default or R12, it should be fine. And if I come to Revit, I go to Insert, Import CAD, and my CAD file is here. Here's the important thing. Actually, let's switch to our site view in our project browser and bring it into our site view to model our site. Okay, so I'll go to Import CAD, go down, Topo 2D. I'm going to check current view only because it's going to be brought in as an instance, so that we don't want to see it in all the drawings, but only the one that we are putting it in. Import units, it's on auto detect, but we could also select feet. We are going to import all the layers. If you have a file that has different layers, you could also manage it, but I have drawn it under one layer. I'm just going to say open. Now this is my topography file, and it's in 2D, and if you see it, it's actually a linked file, so you can only drag this around if you want. Okay, let's look at the dimension of it. Let's go to modify measure, and it's 200 feet right now, so it's up to scale. Alright? Yes. DWG. Okay, so one thing when you're dealing with linked files in Revit, you have to make sure that you don't actually accidentally drag them around, because we might have other geometries over this. So what you want to do is actually, after you position them, you want to pin them to where they are, and that you could do under modify tools. Under modify here, there's pin option. If you click on it, it will show this this pin symbol at the center, and you won't be able to drag this anymore. It will be pinned unless you cancel it out by clicking over it. Okay, so now let's try to model our landscape. Now I don't know about the slope yet, but since this is 200 feet, let's think about some sort of percentage. If you want to create, let's say, 15%, let's say, or 20% of slope, then it would be, in 200 feet we would have to climb, I think, 1/5, 40 feet, right? That will be 1/5. 20% is slope. So for 40 feet we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 lines, so it will be each contour would represent 4 feet, right? So let's think about that and start modeling a landscape. So I'll go to Massing and Site and click on Topo Surface here. And this is kind of a nice tool to design your landscape manually by putting in all the control points, and later we're going to look at importing it directly. But let's try to do this for now. So since I already defined the topo line interval, which was going to be 4, I could start by let's say specify the whole thing by putting 4 points around it. Okay, this will set it to be all at 0. So right now I have a flat surface as my landscape, and if you go to your 3D view, which you could access using this symbol on your quick toolbar, this is what we have right now. And under shaded view, it will be applied an earth material, which is brown. Okay, and we don't have contours yet. Now I go back to my site. Now since we have drawn over our imported geometry, imported curves, if I want to keep working on this, I could change my visual style from hidden lines to wireframe so that everything will be see-through. Okay. Now that I have selected my landscape model, I mean when you actually select your landscape, here under ribbon you have a context ribbon which says edit surface. You can click on that and this will enable you to put more points or control the slope of your landscape model. So I'm going to click again on place point, and in elevation I'm going to put 4 feet, and that's going to be an absolute elevation. And I'm going to trace this contour here. Okay, so I defined the 4 feet. Then I'm going to enter 8 feet. Do it here. Then do 12. Uh, 16. Now if you see, I had another one here which should go again down to 12, so don't miss that if you have anything like that. So I could add 12 here, and the good thing is this is interactive, so as you're doing it, it will also show you the new ISO curves for the landscape. Now I have 8. Now this corner would have to be changed because it's going down all the way to 0, but we will do it later. Yes, the idea. Let's do it now. So let me exit this first. I'll just click on check. So now I have my landscape, and let's make sure that it's actually being graded. It looks like it is, right? So these corners are at 0, but we have started putting in contours. So if I want to change the interval of this, I would have to go to let me see. I'm trying to remember. Give me a second. Writing graphics, sign in view. Nope. I think it's under view. So if you want to change the interval of your topo model, right now we are getting it in every foot. If you click on your landscape and then go to massing and site and this arrow, this will show you the way it's right now drawn. It's drawing it here. The increments are 1 foot if you look at this. Okay, and then we can change it to be 4 feet each. This little arrow here. Okay, and then I'm going to do apply and OK. Now it's 1 in every 4 feet. All right. Now I'm going to keep putting in the contour. So I go to edit surface, place a point. Actually, let's first. I mean, if you're not sure about what the next is, maybe like you stop like I did, you can select on any of these points and it will show you the absolute elevation. So we stopped at 16. Okay, so you can deselect it, go to place point. It was 16, so I'm going to do 20, and then click here, there, and then keep putting in the points I want. All right, then 24, like that, 28. Yep. So I'm going to finish modeling this topo. Let's click check. Let me see where we are. Let's go to 3D view. This is what I have. So I can also edit these control points in 3D. But by the way, if I activate the control points and if I want to change some of them, let's look at this one for instance. This is at 8 and this is at 0, so we could bring this up to 8. Right? So that corner is fixed. I could do the same thing here. So maybe these two are going to be the same. This is 28, this is 0, this is going to be 28. So that corner is fixed as well. Okay? Now I haven't finished adding the top layers, but I want to try something before I do that. So if I go back to my site model, this is my topo, and then underneath it we have our pinned AutoCAD. Now, if you want to snap to these curves, you could explode it so that it will show you each of the vertices specifically if you want to put it. For instance, I could do partial explode or full explode. Let's do partial explode. Now, I could actually, let me see again. Now I can select these curves if you see them. They're actually splines, right? Now if I want to go back to my topo model, edit surface, place a point. The next one is going to be at 32. So let's do 32. Now I can snap. Actually, my bad, it's a spline. So we won't be able to select the control points. But if this was a polyline, you would be able to do that. Okay? So you can't. That's what I was saying. You can't explode because it still comes in with its control points. What you could do when you're redoing it, you could just in Rhino when you're bringing it in, you could just select these and then type in rebuild. You can add a generic point count and then you can enter degree as 1. This will turn them into polylines. Okay? And here we have one last contour which is going to be 40. So I'll just put that. And that should do it. Now we have a corner to fix. So if I go into 3D, edit surface, that corner is going to be 40. Okay, so that's my topo. No, I didn't explode it. You can here convert it only to polyline and save it again as DWG. Okay? Okay? Now, let's try doing it another way. This time I'm going to automate the process. So let's say we have a DWG file, but it's not flat. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of this guy to the side, and I'm going to directly elevate these, assuming it might be a GIS file that you download somewhere, or maybe you get it from Google Earth. So let's do it this way. I'm going to maintain the border, but I'm going to select all these curves and then move them up. So the first displacement will be 4. Deselect the first one, move them again. Let's do 8. Deselect, move vertical, 12. Deselect, 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 move vertical, 16, 20, 24. Oh, I'm actually moving them exponentially. My bad. I have to just move them by 4 each time. So let's do it by 4 only, okay? So I made a mistake. I was just going in increments as well, but I'm moving them all at the same time. So let's do just by 4 by 4 by 4. Okay? Okay, so now I have something like this. It's a bit more realistic. And I'm going to decrease this one by -4. Okay, so this is my contours in 3D. And let's check, these are polylines as well. Alright, so now I'm going to select them without the external boundary, just the contours. and then do the same option, file, export selected, DWG, but this time I'm going to call it Topo 3D, and save it. Okay. So let's do it this way. Let's bring it to the side. So I'm going to go back to Insert, Import CAD, and then select my Topo 3D, current view only, the import unit is feet, and we don't have another layer, so I'm just going to import it as it is. Did we get it somewhere? Let me see. I'm not sure if it imported it. Let me try it again. Let's import it here. Import CAD. Let's save the file as site. Desktop. Save. It's going to be Topo 3D. Open. This is the 3D file. Okay. So I'm going to place it in the site model, site layer. So I go to Copy to Clipboard, and then go back to my site, and then paste from clipboard, so you can place it on the side of it. Alright? So in 3D, let's go to wireframe. Maybe we have a bounding box somewhere. Zoom extents. Only shows that one. It should be okay. Let's go to site again. Now I'm going to use this one to generate a model automatically. So I go to Massing and Site, Topo Surface again. And this time you're not going to place points because the curves are in 3D. So I'm just going to do Create from Import. Okay? And then select Import Instance, which is going to be this guy right here. Let me see, it doesn't select it. Let me try it again. It's not selecting it here. Let me open up a new file. I'm surprised it didn't do that. Let me do it again. Close hidden. File, new, project, architectural template, site, insert, import CAD, go to Topo 3D, Massing and Site, Topo, import. It doesn't do it for some reason. Does it have to be insert link CAD maybe? Anyway, close hidden. Let's close this one. Nope. So we had this guy. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is, let's say we're going to design a house on this landscape, okay? And I'm going to design the house in a separate file and then bring it into this file. So I'll go back to my application menu and then click on New Project, and then Architectural Template. Okay. Now we could draw here anything we want, like a little box with some roof or anything. So I'll just do, since we had 200 feet as site let's draw something like, I don't know, 40-50 feet wide or length. Okay, so let's first start with our grids. So I'll just do 2 grids. Let's say this is 1, and then go back to grid again. This time I'm going to offset it, so I'll go to pick lines and then enter an offset value. Let's say our offset value is going to be 20. And then I'm going to offset it this direction. Okay? And then if you want to repeat the same command, you could just select the object you want to create an instance of and type in CS, which stands for create similar. Or you could go directly into the tab Architecture Datum Grid, and let's do some horizontal ones. So this is a horizontal one, and then I'm going to do create similar again. Actually, let's look at a simple array. So if you go here under modify, we have array tool. So I'm going to select this guy, and then do array. Select the guy, okay, finally it worked. I don't know I think it's my Revit. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. I don't know why, but anyway, let's create an array. So I want to just have 2 grids. So I'll just do 20, and once you enter that, it will show you the number of elements in the array, and then you can specify it. If I enter 3 here, it will create 3 of them. Okay? So that's like a simple array, and these will be linked. So if I select any of them, it will show me that they're in a group, which is the array. Then I can change this number. Anytime I want to add one more, I can just change it there. Okay? We could also add some simple dimensions, so let's go to aligned, enter 2 dimensions, 20 there, 20 there. Okay. So let's draw a simple box, like literally, and then add a floor to it. Or we could let's do cabins. Let's change this guy. Actually, I'm trying to do something regarding the assignment, next assignment. Okay, so let's do a new one, and this time, let's say our interval is going to be 10, and I do 4 of them. Let me do it again, array. I'm clicking diagonally. And I want 4 of these, 5 of these. So I want to have 4 rooms, and it's just going to be like an open plan. So we're going to have just cabins. Okay. So let's do architecture. Create similar. Let's do. Those are my units. So I go back to wall, and I'm going to put 2 walls on 2 edges. Okay. So let's do 2 of them here, and let's change this wall type to be a bit thicker. Let's do 12. So I'll do 1 here and 1 there. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing here. For the interior, I'm going to do create similar, but this time you want 5-inch, so I'll just put it like this. Okay. Let's look it up in 3D. This is what I have. Actually, let's set up our levels. Let's go back to level. Let's go to north elevation, for instance. The height of the structure could be really simple. Let's do 12 feet high, so every wall has to go up to level 2. So if you want to select all the walls, you could either select all of them in a marquee and then filter it in the selection, and then get rid of the grids and just click on the walls and OK. Now all my walls are selected, and I want to do a top constraint to them, which is going to be level 2. So now all of them go to level 2. Okay? I just throw a marquee over them and then go to filter. Okay? And I want to make it a little box, so I'm going to create a floor. We haven't seen this yet, but let's put a simple floor there. So I go to architecture floor, and there are multiple ways we can do this. I'm going to do it in a simpler way. You could either draw a rectangle out of the margin, or you could also do pick lines. So if I do pick lines, I can just select these edges and then hit checkbox. That will be my floor. Okay, so if I go back to 3D, that's my floor model. That's a simple box. Alright, now go back to level 1. Let's select everything. Okay, and use the clipboard tool. Let's add a roof, little flat roof. I go to copy to clipboard, and then modify again, paste, align to selected levels. I want to put them into level 2 and hit OK. Now if I go to level 2, I will see the same thing. And in 3D we will have something like this. Now I want to get rid of these internal divisions, and I want to limit the height of these guys. So if you select one of them and you want to select everything else connected to it, you could enter tab. I'll do it again. If you select one and you want to select everything else connected to it, you could hit tab button and select again. So it will select everything connected to that. And my top offset, I want to just have a parapet, so it's going to be 3 feet. So that's like a simple box. Okay. Now these walls are visible because they extend through the slab, so we could get rid of that as well. So you could select them here, define a top offset to them, like -1, which is the height of our floor slab. So I have a simple box. Okay. Let's go back to level 1. Now what I want to do is I want to design these as cabins. Actually, it's a bit small because the site is a bit small. We could have done it a bit larger. But let's try to stick to this one, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an internal furnishing to one of them and then create a group and make copies of the group to the other ones. And then you will see how groups could work and how important they are in Revit to replicate similar detailing. So let's start with this one. So I'm going to go to architecture, door. Let's place a simple door there. The dimensions, the details, we could change them afterwards. Let's add a simple internal wall. So let's say 5, and I'm going to put it somewhere here. 8 feet by something. I would recommend you do it a bit larger. I mean, I did the site smaller, but these could be like 20 feet apart from each other. But then I will have trouble fitting it into the site probably. Okay. Then I'm going to do a component. Let's put. Let's say I don't have a bed right now, so I could go to load family again, and from furniture. Let's do beds, and let's do let's try standard. Yeah, this should work. So I put a standard bed there. Okay. I'm going to finish this by adding a window. Let's go to load family, windows. Now from the windows, I'm going to select this one, casement with double width trim. and I'm going to place it there. It's in the middle. I made it a bit wider. Okay. Let's look up groups quickly. So I have a simple room. It's not finished, but let's say there's going to be a wardrobe there or something. Let's actually add another door there. Let's do load family again. Doors. There should be a double folding example. This one, bifold 4-panel. Let's put that there. And this could actually be a bit smaller, so we could move this guy, make it flush to the wall, and then using the align tool, I can align this wall's left side to that one, and then fix it. So that's kind of a little cabinet, okay? So what I'm going to do is I want this to be replicated in the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to select the door, select the elements, the objects I want to copy, and then also select the window and the furniture. And don't forget everything. So I forgot this wall here. So I got these guys. Alright? So then I go to create. Under this modify option, there's create group. And here I'm going to write room, let's say room template, and hit OK. Now what happened is this has become a constrained, like if you see this is actually pretty much like a group. Okay, you can break the group anytime you want by ungrouping the items, but what we want is we want to replicate this furniture layout into the other ones. So I'll just select the group, go to array, and I'm going to use this corner and drag it to this one. And right now the number is 2, but I'm going to make it 4. So now you'll see that all of them are replicated. Now our interval is not the same, so what we could do is pretty much move them around a little bit more. So let's do move. This goes there. Let me see again. Since they're in an array, we can't do that. Let me just try to do it again. Let's do it one by one. Let's copy them, okay? Because they're not fitting to the axis. This wall is thinner, so I cannot do an array, but let's do copy. So I want to copy from this corner. When the group is selected, do copy. Select this corner, put one there. Do it again. Put one there. And do it again. Put one in the last one. Now the good thing is Revit directly updates the windows and walls, so it places the other types of components automatically. Now these are not updated, but we could still do it by doing edit group, and then you can adjust this wall to be there, and then finish. Okay, so you will see that all of the other ones are updated as well. Okay, so now why are we doing this as a group? The trick is, once you set up this type of relationship, you know that these are going to be, let's say, hotel rooms or something that is going to have the same layout. They could also be mirrored. We could keep adding objects or remove objects from these. So if I go to edit group here, select any of these instances, edit group. If I wanna, if you see, it just isolates the elements that belong to the group, and here you can add or remove objects from it. So let's say we want to add another element to it. So I click on add, and then go to component, place component, and let's say we want to add a simple desk to it. I'm going to place it there, and then do finish. After I hit finish, it will be copied to the other instances as well. So you could just do 1/4 of the modeling and have everything else updated. Yes? Huh? I did the array, but since the interval wasn't the same, like if you see this wall is thicker than these others, I did the copy, but it will still work the same way since it's an instance of that group. Okay? Yes. No, I use this under modify, copy. Okay? Never do select copy paste control CV. Don't do that in Revit. Okay? So let's look it up in 3D. This is what I have. It's like a simple unit. Huh? It's a bunker, yes, exactly. It could have been something else, but I don't know. I actually made something cooler yesterday to show. But thinking about the landscape, it's a bit small. Maybe we could make it a bit better. So we could do a bit more 3D modeling. Let's add a canopy here. So I could do edit boundary. Select this guy. And let's do this extension is 8 feet. It gave me some problem. Let's do a check again, and okay. I'll do the same to this. This is how we edit just the floor. So you could just click on any of these lines that define the floor outline, and you can specify a dimension. So I'm just creating a canopy area here. Let's say this is going to be 8. Okay. And let's move this guy as well to this corner. And I'm going to move these guys as well. Okay, so let's say something like this. Or we could do edit boundary. I can extend the canopy further there as well. Let's do 12. Nope. Actually, let's make it like a car dimension. Let's make this one 20 feet. Okay. Let's do this guy as well. So I'm extending kind of my model to accommodate more space there. And I can further add another axis. Let's do create similar again. Well, let's do architecture grid. Let's add another grid line there. And this one I want it to be 20 feet apart. Or yeah, 20 feet should be fine. Okay, and I'm going to close this up. So select this wall, make a copy of it, and drag it there. Alright, so it's kind of just open area. Actually, I was thinking cars will be parked this way, so let's extend this one instead. Yeah, that should be better. Yeah, so basically if I want to add something else to this, I select the group. Once you select one item that belongs to the group, it will select everything automatically. And then you can do edit group. You can remove or add items to the group, right? I can also like let's add another item. So I click on add. Once this is active, I select whatever I want to add. I can add like another wall, another door. In this case, I can add another furniture. So let's add, I mean, I can load something else, but just to show you, you can add another furniture, like another table. And once you're done with it, once you place it in one of them and hit finish, it will find the instances of that group. These are the same group basically. If I did the modification here, it would have taken the same effect because I'm overriding the group properties. Okay? Once you select one, under Modify Ribbon tab, there's Edit Group, Ungroup, Link. So you could do Edit Group, Remove, select this guy. Now it's gone. Finish. Let me see again. Now it's taken out of the group, but it's not removed. Let me see. Edit group, remove multiple, finish, attach, done. Yeah, try to do this, and I'll see if you have any problem. Let me make the microphone. One trick you could do, for instance, if you want to do alignment, you could go to View and activate thin lines. This will disable the line weights temporarily. Okay. So once you do thin lines, once you click on this, it will make everything the same line weight. So now you will be able to see better. Like this bed is right now not aligned. So if I want to align it, I could select my group, go to Edit Group, and then go to Modify, Align, select the wall first, and then select the top of the bed. Then I can lock that relationship as well to set up a constraint and finish it. Now those are aligned. And everything else will be updated according to that as well, but that's fine for this because the top of the bed needs to be aligned with the table. And once you're done with that, you could go back to View, Thin Lines, and you will see everything the way it was. Okay? Okay? So now that I have finished a kind of template model, let's say this is going to be a garage. I know the design sucks, but let's keep it simple, okay, for now. So this is going to be like 4 cabins, 4 rooms, and maybe 2 cars. So what I want to do is I want to save this guy. Let's do, it's actually saved as project tree. I'm going to save it again. And then if you remember, we had a topography model. So I'll go back to, we have a lot of views open right now. So let's go to View and type in Close Hidden. That will just reduce to 2 files that we currently have. And my topography is here. Okay? So I want to place this over my topography. So if I go to Site View, let's get rid of this guy. And let's change this to Hidden Line. So if you've done your topography and you don't want to see the existing lines, like I had exploded them, you could right click and go to Hide in View and do Category. The category would be like imported drawings. So if you do that, it will hide every other line that you had from the DWG and just show you the topography that you had. Okay, so now this is my topography. Now what I want to do is I want to save this topography as a default or as something that I could go back to every time I want to change the landscape. So what I need to do is I need to set this as an existing type. If you go to the face created under properties, you have to specify this as existing. Okay? Now you will see that this is actually grayed out, so it becomes something that you cannot change or modify. It's kind of existing situation on the landscape. And what I want to do is I want to go back to Massing and Site and then click on Graded Region. This will create a copy of the existing landscape and enable you for modifying it, like changing heights or excavating or putting in more soil, stuff like that. And if you look at the small video, it shows both of them or the difference. Okay, so let's click on Massing and Site Graded Region, and then it will prompt a menu box asking how would you like to edit topo surface. You could select create a new topo surface exactly like the existing one. Okay, and now this will give me some contours I can modify. Let's say we want to place our building somewhere here. I could move these lines to open up kind of a modification. and click check. If I go to 3D and switch to shaded view, you will actually be able to see the red is basically the existing condition, and the red will show you like what kind of soil is being excavated. It's kind of like a default view, but the brown one is the updated one that we're going to use. And you can also see the dashed lines. The dashed lines are basically the old or the existing topography lines, and the straight one in the back is basically how it's updated. Okay, we will do it later a bit more, but what I want to do now is to bring our project. Okay. Before doing that, actually, let's add a property line so that we could use it to align or rotate our project if we know kind of a dimension for it. So a property line would be a line that defines the property on the landscape. And you can do this in two ways. You can do it by either entering distances and bearings. This would be actually some sort of data that you will get from the guy who makes the map for the project, and it will give you the universal coordinates and heights of the topo lines and the dimensions. But we are going to do it by sketching this time. So let's do a site that goes from here. Let's say this is going to be 70, and let's say this is going to be 100. Let's go here. It could be any type of shape. It will just create a dashed line. Once you're done, you can just click and it will this guy. Further down, these are your elevation views. Let's get them out of the way. Okay. Now, what I want to also do is to create a section that goes through the landscape so that we could position our building according to that in a kind of simple way. Actually, we could do it using the elevation. Let me see first. Yeah, this should be fine. Yeah, actually, let's just use these two for now. So let's go back to our site view, and I'm going to this time insert a Revit model. So if I go to Insert and Link Revit, go down. My project file is here, the one that we've been working with. So I'm going to do Open. It's currently open, so let me close that. Let's close this one. Link Revit. Go down. Project. Open. Now this will just drop it into the viewport, but basically this is kind of the model we have been working with, and everything will come as is. You won't be able to modify it unless you want to go back to it and relink it to your drawing. But we are going to just use it for preparing the alignment to the site and preparing a site drawing. Okay, so we could, for instance, do let's look up where it's located let's define its elevation. If you go to south elevation, or let's look up east. This is where my building is at right now. Okay, so it's kind of floating in space because it comes as a bundle where you see its level and level 2, and these you won't be able to modify. They're actually directly into the linked file. As you can see, it's like a whole group together. And what you would like to use is to define another datum where you could actually locate this model at. Okay, so that we could do by either using this level 2. Let's actually rename it as foundation. Okay, and I want to move my foundation level. Let's say if we know the foundation level of our project above the sea level, let's say it's at 22, or let's say it's like 24, you could just enter that dimension here, and then once you want to align the project to that, you could do AL, shortcut for align, or go to modify, align, select that foundation level, and then select the level 1 in your linked Revit file, and then lock them together. This will maintain the elevation or the height for the foundation of your project. Okay? So that's how you can set up the height of your, or the elevation of your project. And let's look it up in 3D. This is kind of the current situation we have right now. And I don't know about the rotation yet, but let's start rotating it a little bit. Let's go to the site model again. Maybe we think it's actually direction this way, or maybe the other direction. I mean, the rooms are kind of here, so it might be better to direct it that direction. So you could do it by using rotate here. And in rotate, you basically have an anchor point and a rotation angle. And this is kind of used as a reference. But if you want to rotate it using to some sort of like value or direction, you could move this rotation anchor point any way you want. So let's move it to this corner. Then I want to use this endpoint as reference. And then if you touch this point, I mean go over the cursor with this edge of the site, it will actually snap to it at some point. Let me try doing it again. Didn't do that for some reason. Why doesn't it rotate? For instance, let's look up, we could also specify spot elevations on our landscape, like do some sort of annotation. We could do, for instance, you can place these anywhere you want. Like we could do a spot elevation for this corner. Like our building is located 39 feet above sea level right now. You could also put them somewhere else, as you like. This is 26. And you can also do coordinates. Like normally this coordinate, this corner where the building is anchored, actually we use this one, where the axes are actually converge. This would actually be used to specify the coordinate of the project location. And you can, using these anchor points, you can move them around. You could also do, look at the slope. So right now, there's no slope here on this line. There's some slope there. You can put these slope arrows. You could also do contours. If we go to massing and site and label contours, this will actually, you would just do by drawing a single line. So if I draw it here, it will first draw a dashed line, but when that dashed line hits a contour line, it will put the elevation there. You could also do this in a running way. So if I draw a line from here to there, it will draw them automatically. I could do it also here, like this. And that dashed line will go away once you're done with the command. And it will show the elevation of the contours. Okay, so let's look up in 3D. What I want to do is create kind of a topography model so that the building rests on the topography nicely. So if you look at it right now, some of the earth is entering into the building. So what we need to do is define a building pod. Okay, so I go to the site and I want to define a building pad. Okay, and then this will be directly subtracted from the landscape. So you can just, since we have the building here, you could draw a rectangle around it, or you could also do pick lines. Like you could pick these lines and then hit check. Let's do, it needs to be closed, so I just extend these lines. Say what? I'm making a building pad to place the building on top of the landscape. says still not closed. Cannot have overlapping lines. Let's just exit that one and do it again. Building pad, rectangle, like this. Now if you go to 3D, if you see that building pad is located somewhere here, and that actually subtracts the whole landscape. Okay. Now we have the red as the existing landscape. So if you don't want to see that, we could just select the landscape. This is our new construction, the copy of it, and this will be our existing one. So if you want to hide this one, you could just select it, right click, hide in view, and let's do elements this time so that it's directly hidden, so that we don't see any of that red shading. Okay? Now if you look at this, the building pad is created at this level by default. It's normally at the created at the sea level. So if you go to the elevation, it's actually a bit harder to see here, but you could do, rather than hidden view, you could do wireframe view. This would actually show you all the detail or all the elevation of it. Okay. So in our, I'm trying to find the side view, which is this one. Let's go back to the wireframe view. And what I want to do is I want to set up the location of this building pad to be under the foundation level, so it kind of overlaps with my slab. So I'll set it to foundation and hit apply. Now it's been elevated there. If I go to 3D, now what it does is it kind of extends the soil to itself as well. Okay? But if we don't want that, then I can do so you select the pad and then go to edit boundary, and then you can move this line a little bit inside so that maybe it's cantilevering above the landscape a little bit. So like that. Okay? Now we still have some modeling to do here. Basically we need to define these heights, like the landscape around our house, so that the contours are adjusted to accommodate the building. Now in order to do that, we could only do, if you go to the site model, now initially I have adjusted some of these contours to show you how it could be done, but normally the way you would do it is within your property line. So to do that, you have to subtract or split your property within the existing, from the existing topography. So let's go to 3D. Let's go back to 2D. Now this is my topography, and I go to massing and site, and I want to do split surface. Okay, and split surface, and select your site model. You could either sketch it, or you could directly pick your site boundary lines like this. Hit check. Now this will subtract your this will actually give you two sets of walls. So this is right now the exterior one is everything else, and this is our site. Okay? And we can edit this directly. Now that we have splitted it, these are separated. So if I do edit surface, this will only show me the control points of our site. And I can, for instance, select these guys and reduce their height or elevation to be at our building foundation level, which was, I think, 28. Was it 28? Actually, it was lower than that. Let me check that height first before I do this foundation. Sorry, elevation. Our foundation level is at 24. So what we want to do is set them to 24. We could even do it lower so that the foundation will be above ground. Okay? So I go back to 3D. I select the subtracted site, go to edit surface, select these control points that I want to modify, and we could also select these guys. Actually, I think they also intersect with the building a little bit. And I'm orbiting around my model using shift and right click and adding these control points. Now their height is going to be 24. Okay, and I'm done. So now the site has been adjusted to fit the building, but of course it's not fitting anything else around it. Actually, let's open up some other space here so that we can create a road as well to our building. Let's do edit surface. Let's actually, maybe we move these guys a bit inwards. So let's go to the site. Let's select our site model, edit surface, switch to hidden wireframe, and you can move these control points around a little bit. Since it's within our site, we could do whatever we want to it. I guess that should be okay. It created that 1 point. Let me see again. I guess there's a little tolerance there somehow. Let's make it like this. This is fine. Okay, so I opened up some space there, like curve. Now, if we want to create a seamless topography around this, we could also do select the outer surface and change the elevation of these points. Right, so I can come back here, select these guys, put 24 to them. I can also do it here and put 24. Okay. Otherwise it will show me a wall, which might be okay actually, like a retaining wall type of thing around the site. But that's kind of like micromanaging it a little bit. Okay, now that I'm done with that, let's see what else we could do. I go back to my site view. And I want to draw a road here, or something that I can use to create like an asphalt surface to kind of show how you get to the building by car. Okay, and I'm going to sketch those. So I go to architecture, model line, and I'm going to use model lines to first define the area I need for car maneuver and everything else, and then I'm going to build the road using a spline and offset. So first let's create like some sort of an area here, like a little square, and that one I'm going to do using pick lines. So I'm under model lines and I do pick lines, and offset I'm going to use 20. And I come here and create one model line there, and we could create more. Let's add some more here. Oh, I'm in pick lines still, so let's go back again, create similar. Offset value is 0 now, so if I put one here, put one there. Okay, so our road could be merging here, or it could actually come directly from here. So the road could come here and connect to this midpoint, and then the cars could round about here. And maybe we want to actually round this up as well, so like fillet it. So if I go to architecture, model line again, this option in draw will be a fillet arc, and that's what we want to do. We want to round the corner of two intersecting lines. So I select that one and type in a radius. So I select this one, and it put it directly as 1, but let's do maybe 5. This one and this one. That will be a fillet. So I'm done with that one. And what I want to add is the road to get into the site. And I'm going to do model line again, but this time use spline. Okay? Spline is here under draw. And starting from the midpoint, go left, go down. You can create this any way you want, but I'm just going to create some simple road. And I would recommend it doing kind of extending from the site model, because once you offset this, if your line is stuck inside, you might not be able to subtract it or split the topography. Let's look up the offset value. If I go to modify measure, the road is going to be 20 feet wide, so I do again another model line, but this time I want to do pick lines again and offset value as 10. I want to offset it this direction and the other direction, so it kind of sets up a nice road for me. Okay, and we can delete this one and this one. So now that's my road to the building. Let's look up in 3D. So the road is there. So we can go back to site model. And in order to define it as a road, we have to split the site topo. So I select the outer surface and go to masking and site and do split surface. Split surface and select this the outer site, and I don't want to draw it manually. I could have drawn it using spline, but then it will be tedious. You might not match it, so that's why using model lines is better. We're going to do pick lines. I'm going to pick this one and this one, and this should be enough to split it. Now I have a sub-region created here, if you see that. Okay, that's like a sub-region of the road. And I'm going to go back to the site, and this time do again split surface, select the inner site model, do pick lines, and just pick the same splines with this with everything else. And you could also pick this edge and then hit check. Now we have created that sub-region as well. So in order to visualize it, I could give them some material. I can select these two that are going to be roads and go to under material properties, click on this little box here. It will prompt to the material editor. I'm not going to go into the details of this yet. We're going to cover materials in rendering, but basically you want to select an asphalt. Let's see, this is asphalt. We have asphalt shingle. Let's do we have anything else? Let's look up the miscellaneous ones. Oh yeah, we need to import one from the library, I think. So I'll just go down here, and there should be enough asphalt there. Under AAC miscellaneous, asphalt is here, asphalt concrete. These, I mean, to give you a quick snapshot of how the materials work. Materials normally come in a library associated to Revit, and these materials here that you see would be the materials that are used in the project. And right now we don't have an asphalt there, so I have to bring one from the library. So I click and drop it in there. I'm going to do the same thing for grass here, and now I can pick them. So if I go to all, asphalt concrete is here, so I select asphalt concrete, hit apply and hit OK. I think those are applied. Asphalt concrete is applied to them. And I want to give a grass to our site model, which is this one. Do the same thing again, and here I'm going to select green or grass, this guy. And shade it realistic. Let's do shade it. It doesn't show the materials, it only shows them in realistic view, but basically they are there. Okay? And the building pad is, if you look at it, it's located at the same level as our foundation, but we could put it at -1. It's just as a tool to define foundation for our building, so that will create a nice model there. Okay? So that's kind of how you can create roads as well, do kind of topography modeling. And you can also further do like detailing on the road, but this is kind of outside of our property line. But normally your topo lines would actually accommodate the road lines, like they would be perpendicular to the road, so that you would know the road slope is consistent on both sides. I mean, in this case, since I didn't adjust the topography here, this side is a bit more elevated than that side, but that should be okay. Like you could also select this one and do edit surface, select all these points and give them a specific elevation if you want to fix them. In this case, it was 24, so I can select all these points and give them 24, and it will reduce the elevation of the road. Right? Then you have to do either the same thing to the side of the road, or to one side maybe. Okay. Let's keep it the way it is. Alright, so what I want you to do now is try to bring in your model and start playing with the building pad, subtracting, splitting the site model into different regions. Try to create a road, use model lines. I mean, I showed quite a bit of stuff, so try to like play with them. And if you have any questions, I'll like go around. I have a few more things left to show, but they're not this important. Okay. For instance, let's say we have something nasty going on here. Like I'll go back to the site and edit surface, and let's put more points there. Like let's create a little peak or something. So the height here is 36. So I'll do another point, and that's going to be, let's say, 40. 36, 40. And let's put it there. And let's put some there. Okay. I don't know how it's going to look like, but that's kind of what we got there. If you can see it, actually let me change the shaded view. You'll be able to see it more clearly. Like let's say we want to reduce the complexity of this area, you could do edit surface and then simplify surface. This will actually reduce the number of control points that your topo has. So if I do simplify and it asks for some accuracy, the more this number is, the more it will be simplified. So if I do 4 feet, you see that it got rid of some of the control points. I could do it further. I could do another 4, or I could do like higher number. It gave me an error. Let's do 4 again. Yeah. I mean, you get the idea, I guess. It just simplifies your the amount of control points you have, and that makes it easy for manipulation as well. Like I could have done it before I changed these elevations for these control points. Okay. So you could use simplify that way. And another thing you could I want to show is these elements under model site. Basically, we have looked at topo surface extensively. You know what building pad does, and we could also do site component, which is basically an object for the site. So it will be like trees, maybe benches, parking lamps, anything you can also download online and try to want to put in your project. You could do it here. So these will be simple trees. If I go to site and I want to place some trees here, I can go to site component, and they will already come in with their 2D symbols. So I could just place some of these trees. Right? I could change to another type that comes in with its own graphic representation as well. Let's see. This one is like that. Okay, so you can place them as well. And if I go to 3D, now this is its abstracted view, but the good thing is wherever you click on your topo, it will find the elevation, it will place it to that elevation, so you don't have to do micro management to these objects. And if I switch to realistic view, they would actually have the kind of images embedded to them. Okay, so it's kind of really nice for rendering and other stuff. One last thing I'm going to show is the parking component, and this is another object. It basically is something that you can put on like your asphalt. Let's say if I didn't have some sort of a open garage here and like a parking space, I could have put it here like this, and then like the next one, let me see again, let's do it again. It also rotates with spacebar. Let's do like that. Let me switch to actually thin lines so that I could see what's going on here. And this should be fine actually, but somehow it's not aligned. I don't know why. Endpoint, let's do there. What's wrong with this one? Degrees top. I wonder why it's doing that. Let me see. Okay, so let me quickly show you the parking component as well. So basically, it's sometimes better to do it in 3D. I think like it might be missing. Like I tried to put it in 2D, but it somehow just puts it in the air. Like let's put two of them here just to show you over the asphalt. Okay. If you go to 3D, they're somehow put in a weird fashion. Sometimes it picks up the host. This is a face type object. Don't think what it is yet because we haven't talked about it. But basically, this is a face-specific object. You need to select the surface of some object that it will be placed upon, and like this one is missing that face. Basically, that's why it's kind of in an awkward angle. But if you do pick new host and you select this surface, it will be dropped to it. Okay. And it will find its plane, basically. And you can place these as like spaces as well for parking. It's like a nice component, and it comes in with its with different angles, but it's fine if you use like the 90-degree ones for now. Okay. So any questions about the stuff I showed today? Like topography, tools, splitting. I would say try to exercise with them. They're a bit like hard to grasp in the beginning. Like especially the contour lines, like you don't know which side it's like interpolating to, and it's hard to read them. But you can simplify them here, like under model site, you can simplify the increments. That will help you a lot. And you can also do, you can edit the topography and simplify the surface as well, which will reduce the number of points you have. Okay?